Okay. All right, guys. Welcome to C4. This is the Kirk Compass's monthly training, and I'm grateful to be a guest today. So my name is Robert Weichelt. I'm a real estate broker, just like a lot of you on this call. Today, we're going to go over online offer strategy, mastering Fsbo'S and expireds. In my opinion, that's the lowest hanging fruit on the seller tree. So we're going to really dive in. But what I'm going to go over today works for really any seller. Anybody that wants the highest and best price in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of liability, hassle, and expense that works here. So power, growth, and momentum is what it's all about. And it all starts with their first contact. I helped an agent. I coach, train, and mentor agents all over the country. And an agent, she literally, the only thing she knew about real estate was what she learned while practicing to take her test. She really had no idea, never worked with the seller, never worked with the buyer, never bought a home, never had any involvement in real estate. And we met and I showed her exactly who to call, what to say, and how to schedule the appointment. She scored 3 listing appointments in just under 3 days of working with me. So the reason why I'm telling you that is because a lot of these tools work if you really let it. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and share a few things today. Time permitting, I'm going to share my listing presentation that I do via Zoom. But I always like to start off with this quote. This is a quote. My dad gave me this quote. He goes, "Son, the only place success comes before work is in the dictionary." And I thought, wow, he is such a smart guy. And he goes, "Yeah, that's a Vince Lombardi quote, but I still like it." And another quote, he told me, "It works if you do." So let's get started. My name is Robert Weichelt. I'm the host of the More Listings Mastermind on podcast. Since 1986, I've had the privilege of helping thousands of agents, thousands of sellers all over the country in every type of market. I have a strong background in the default space, the REO, working with corporate sellers, asset managers, and what have you. But as a broker, trainer, mentor, my mission today is simple. We're going to empower others to grow, win, and lead with purpose. You can see a lot of our trainings on Spotify and YouTube, and I'll certainly share that link in the chat. Today, our goal is to go over how to get more now listings. I'd rather have a listing today than tomorrow. Now, I want the listing tomorrow, but I want the one that's going to take today. So I want the Fsbo'S, I want the expireds, I want the pre-foreclosures. Those are very specific sellers in which you're talking to. A Fsbo is a for sale by owner for one real reason, and it's because of commission. If you can handle the commission conversation, Fsbo's are the easiest sellers to ever work with. Expireds, they have their hands up. They want to sell. They're telling everybody they want to sell. A lot of times they didn't sell because of price. And I'm telling you what, if you price a property correctly, you will get more listings. If you price it correctly. But a lot of times the sellers, they dig their heels in. I want $1 million for my home that's worth $850. Well, you have to have a pricing conversation before you have anything else. So we're going to go over that. We're going to go over now business, Fsbo expired, pre-foreclosure. There's a lot of notice of defaults being filed. I'm in San Diego County, and I track and measure those every single day. That's a huge resource for getting listings. Most of those homeowners are really not sellers yet. Most of those homeowners don't know they're sellers yet. They have troubles. A lot of times they bury their head in the sand and they just kind of put everything in that proverbial Target bag and they put it up on the counter and it fills up with all the notices from the bank. So we'll go into that. We're going to go over also future business, working with the market that's about to come. It's a pre-foreclosure space, and that's working with REO and distressed properties. I'll introduce you to that as well. So since March of 2020, we all went through that stay at home, don't go out. We became essential, but we still had that sellers that didn't really want to meet with you in person. So I became very efficient and effective with my business, and I do all of my listing appointments all done via Zoom. Every last one of them since 2020. That's, gosh, I can't believe it's been 6 years, but it's the most efficient and effective way to meet with a seller. For example, if you have a seller that wants $1 million for their $850,000 home, I'd rather have a quick Zoom conversation than a drive out in an hour of traffic, stay there for a half an hour to hear about their home that's overpriced, only to drive home without a listing. That takes 3 hours when you can take 3 to 5 minutes and have a Zoom conversation with the seller, go over their home. Pricing's the most important. A lot of you understand if you take an overpriced listing, Sure, there's that hope and pray strategy. Maybe it'll sell, maybe it won't. Maybe they'll do a price reduction. In my opinion, that's a terrible strategy. So we need to really be focused on our time. My wife put these photos together. There's us taking listings on a boat in Hawaii at the desert. And then we traveled across the country. My wife and I had on our bucket list, we wanted to jump in the RV, get the car behind us, and just travel the United States. Well, in October, late October, early November of 2023, we did just that. We sold everything we owned, put the stuff we didn't want to sell in storage, and we hit the trail. We were on the road for about 2 years, seeing friends and family and doing classes, and just had a blast. 2 years was plenty, but my point in telling you that, every single one of my listings were all done via Zoom from the road. Every now and then, for instance, I stopped off in Texas one time at a truck stop, pulled out the Starlink right outside the motorhome door, and took a listing right on the spot, somebody that had to meet right now. And I want to accommodate as much as I can. So I pulled over, we're ready to pull over, took the listing, put the Starlink in, and we jumped on the road. So my point is, we want to be efficient and effective with the way we meet with our sellers. Now, I always like to go into the 5 habits, excuse me, the 5 habits that are going to help you grow your business starting today. Number 1 is lead generation. If we're not having conversations with buyers, sellers, investors, or if you're growing your team, if you're not having conversations with agents, you're not going to be able to grow at the level you need to. It's my opinion that you need to block out at least 90 minutes per day of focused prospecting, whether you're calling, texting, emailing, sending smoke signals, it doesn't matter. We need to make sure that we're reaching out to sellers. If you're growing your listing business, we need to be reaching out to potential listings, sellers. Number 2, track and measure your numbers. You need to track and measure the things that you're doing, whether you're sending out postcards or spending money on bus benches. It doesn't really matter as long as you're tracking and measuring. Now, number 3, appointments. We need to set appointments daily. A day without a seller or buyer appointment should be a red flag in your business. Number 4, follow up like a pro. 80% of conversions happen in the follow-up. Very rarely will you meet a contact that says, oh, I love what you said. Let's go. Let's list right now. It happens, but it takes some time to nurture those sellers. And number 5, sharpen your skills, role play, study scripts, top agent content. Being on calls like this is a real good start. Here's an interesting stat that I've seen. When you're approaching expired listings, 78% of expired sellers relist with the first agent that calls them. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the best agent. It's the next agent. 78% of expireds list with the next agent. So think about it. Be that first to call. Now, when I talked about the notice of default market, I am not trying to be doom and gloom, but I've been in the REO market in the early 90s, and then it reared its ugly head again in the early 2000s. It's coming again. There's a lot of notice of defaults that we need to start paying attention to. Again, not being doom and gloom, and I certainly don't want anyone to lose their home, but it's a niche that needs to be addressed. For instance, there's a lot of different articles, not just one publication is putting it out. Foreclosures continue to a gradual climb in 26. Foreclosure prevention actions, foreclosure starts. There's a lot of conversation around the NOD, NOT distressed market. I'm not saying stop what you're doing, but just pay attention to it as it relates to your market. Now, a lot of tools I'm going to share with you, tools that I'm currently using in my business. Some of you may be using My Plus Leads. I think it's one of the best tools that I've found to locate Fsbo'S, expireds, because guys, remember, Fsbo'S and expireds are the lowest hanging fruit on the seller tree. They already have their hands up. They want to sell. They just need to contact, you just need to contact them. So, and again, pre-foreclosures, those are sellers that may need your expertise and oftentimes bury their head in the sand. So reaching out to them is good. And I'll leave you a 14-day free trial. Check it out. It doesn't cost you anything. This is just what I'm using. Now, another tool I want to share with you real quick is the cash offers platform. We all have access to cash offers, but how easily and how readily available are those cash offers? Are you attracting, engaging, and converting more sellers? Because the numbers are in. Sellers all think they want a cash offer until they see that cash offer. And I'm finding that less than 10% actually go with the cash offer once they see it, because they're not very attractive, whether it's an end user, somebody that just has a bunch of cash. Nobody with cash wants to pay full price. That's just the way it works. So the question would be, if everybody wants a cash offer and only 90% of them go a different direction, only 10% actually go to a cash offer, what is your pivot? What are you pivoting to from, okay, the cash offer doesn't work, but it's a great way to get in front of them? You could go right now, as soon as we're done with this call, you can go to Zillow, type in your county, go to for sale by owner, call that person, get a cash offer, and call them up and say, I've got a cash offer for your home. When can I present it to you? And the conversation is starting. But on the flip side of that, if you have a seller that says, I want a cash offer, and you don't have any way of getting them a cash offer, you're out of the conversation. Keep it in mind, most sellers, once they see that cash offer and they pick themselves off the floor, they're going to want to know a different direction to get the highest and best price for their home. So I'll leave some information in the chat at the end too for that. So the number one thing we need to do as listing agents is drive traffic to our properties, drive traffic to the websites. For instance, Zillow. I use Zillow to keep track of how many views and how many saves. Sure, views are great, but it gives us an indication of how popular that property is going to be. I have one right here. First day on the market for this property on Joanne, 3,076 views in one day. If you can look back at your last listing, back at the first day views, look back at the 9-day views. Here's 9 days, 10,000, just over 10,000 views, but the killer is 603 saves. The 603 saves, that translates into open house traffic. And that's the number one goal we need to do, is drive traffic to the websites first. Then we drive them to the property. We had 884 people to this open house. That's a tremendous amount of people. I don't know anyone on the call that can say I've had 884 people to the doors. That's a huge, huge number. Now, for all honesty, we're averaging between 200 and 400, depending on the property. The more that people want it, 3-bedroom, 2-bath in a development, you're going to have more traffic. So if it's a cabin 300 miles off the grid, that's going to be a different story. It's a smaller buyer pool. So we're looking for properties with the largest buyer pool possible for the most amount of traffic. Now, I use, and today's topic is online offers. Our online offer strategy is like nothing I've ever seen. I've employed this since 2017 in the residential space. We employed the online offers platform in the REO space with different banks going to Hudson Marshall, auction.com, and those guys. But this is a residential bidding platform, allows all the offers to be fully transparent. For example, we had 13 offers on this property. You can see the top 7 or so. You had Josh come in, placed his offer. Then you had Guillermo come in and outbid Josh. Then Jeff came in. Then Guillermo says, well, I'm not having any of that. He outbid Guillermo. So what we're doing is we're driving buyer urgency and allowing those buyers to transparently compete against everybody, so everybody sees their offers. Remember, guys, look at that amount of traffic. How many people do you think are bumping into each other in the kitchen? You're creating urgency. You're creating FOMO, that fear of missing out. Everyone in that line that wants that home is going, wow, there's no way I'm going to be able to get it for that low start price. Now, let those buyers transparently compete, getting that price up to its highest point. The kicker with this, and this is where the Fsbo'S love it. Every seller loves it, but particularly Fsbo'S. Fsbo'S don't want to list with us because they don't want to pay a commission, but they are willing to pay 2, 3, 2.5, whatever they decide to pay, but they're willing to pay that amount for an offer that's acceptable because they feel like, they have to pay the agent that's bringing the offer. Our platform allows the buyer, should they choose to use an agent, adds it to the sales price that the seller's getting. So the buyers are paying for their own agent, and it's all transparent, and it drives tremendous amount of traffic, a tremendous amount of offers. And that's what sellers want. They only want offers. That's all they care about. Every time you've ever called a for sale by owner, an expired, just send me an offer. Well, I don't know anything about your home. Just send me an offer. That's all they want is offers. So we're giving them multiple offers. Now, you can come to our training. I have an amazing training that we do on Fridays. We just go in and we figure out what's going on in your business. So you can, I'll drop it in the chat box. But what I want to do is I want to show you my listing presentation and exactly how we conquer the Zoom presentation, and it's powerful. So I'll drop some information about this meeting. If you guys want to jump on and really deep dive, certainly recommend it. If you want to schedule a one-on-one, by all means, check my, this goes right to my calendar link, and I'd be more than happy. And that doesn't matter what brand you're with, none of that matters. If I can help you take more listings, then I'm doing my job. It feels good to help agents take more listings because that's what I'm all about. So with that said, this is part one of kind of what I wanted to go over with you. So then the listing presentation will make sense. So with that said, is there any questions that I can answer from anyone in the panel or anyone in the?
If I can jump in real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so I'm here, everybody. It's Wellington. How you doing? Sorry, I was caught in traffic, but that's how it works sometimes. But it looks like Rob's got it well in hand here, which is fantastic. Thank you, Rob, for pitch hitting here, and you're awesome. And guys, yeah, Rob's got. I was on Rob's mastermind last week, and it was a great session. And he does a great job. There's lots of people, and it's a kind of a fun thing. You grab your coffee and you jump on with him, and it's just a wealth of knowledge. And he's got a killer beard. I think that's the only thing that matters is that awesome beard of his. Because if you got an awesome beard, what else is there? You know, that's a fierce beard. So I just want to say hello, everybody. Looks like we're doing great. Donna got everybody started, so thank you, Donna, for that. And with that, I'll hand it back to Rob, and he can continue.
Well, I got to be honest with you. I kind of like what you got going on there. You got some little handlebar going, like you're on from Yellowstone set.
You like that? Yeah, I am from Yellowstone. I'm the new Rip.
Well, I love it. Well, thank you for having me on today. I'm going to share, if there's any questions, we can certainly do that, but I'm going to share my listing presentation with you. And I'm going to go over it with you, just more of explaining how I do my Zoom listing appointments right here from the comfort of my own home, my desk. And it's just absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. And I'm going to drop my listing presentation in here. And let's go. Hi, dear. Wife just got home. Okay. Let's go here. Let's minimize that. Let's go to share. Please hold. We are cooking with gas. All right. Let me know if you guys can see the screen. Okay. You see that there, Beef?
Yeah, I see a picture of you, which kind of looks like my old pictures from 10 years ago. I need
to cover my face so you can recognize me.
Hey, you know what? The more of I found out that the more of our face we cover, the better it is.
Yeah. No, my wife agrees with you. I'm just kidding. Okay, so guys, here's my listing presentation, and we can do Q&A towards the end because I think this will be a helpful tool. Now, because I use an online offers platform, my scripting is a little different than most. I find it more effective, but I'm going to share this with you. And if this is something you want to employ in your business, I'd be more than happy to walk you through how I use it. So let's go here. Let's start with now when I first get on a Zoom call, I schedule the appointment. I fill out my questionnaire just like I would any other listing appointment. And then I go through all the information and I weed them out. I don't just want to meet with everybody. I want to meet with people that are motivated. Now, motivated doesn't mean desperate. Motivated means realistic. If they're realistic and want to sell their home, I want $1 million for my 850 home, I'll still meet with them because once I show them the data and I ask them the very simple question, tell me how you think your home is worth $1 million. I'd love to hear it. Please go. And I just shut my mouth and I let them talk. Well, you know what? Little Johnny was born here and all this other stuff that we all hear. But once we get to the price, it's realistic in the neighborhood of realistic, then we can continue the conversation. But if somebody digs their heels in at $1 million and because you're a great agent, you know how to compare properties, there's only 850 in this person's future, then unless you can change that, there's no need to move on. Doesn't matter how great your marketing package is. Those sellers typically want to list their home If somebody comes along, then I'll sell my home. That's their motivation. Well, I'm not really interested in working with sellers like that. That's just a decision I've made. I've taken listings before where they're a little overpriced, but not ridiculously overpriced. Overpriced means, hey, we need to lower your property, but I want to make sure that we're all on the same page with price first. Once we do that, I'll go right to this slide and show them exactly how I can get their property sold for the highest and best price. I've never in my career have met with a seller that said, Robert, I want the least amount of money for my home. Not once. I've never had the seller tell me that I want to pay the most amount of money either. They all want a discount and they all want their property sold for the most. And I get it. As a seller, that's my goal too. So I go through and I'll just show you my presentation. The conversation starts a little bit like this. Now sellers outnumber buyers at record levels. And that's one thing that needs to, I mean, that's the facts. You know, there's more buyers out there than sellers. So I have that conversation with them because most sellers are still living in 22, 23. So our goal is their goal. Our goal is your goal, Mr. Seller. We want to bring you multiple offers in 14 days or less. Now, keeping in mind, highest and best price, shortest amount of time, least amount of liability, hassle, and expense. Our transparent platform allows the best way to get a tremendous amount of fully vetted, pre-approved buyers. Now, remember, guys, our goal is more eyes equals more offers. More eyes to Zillow, it starts with, as an example, to those syndicated websites. Then more eyes, bodies to the open house, and then more eyes means more offers to our platform, letting those buyers transparently compete against each other. Now, once we go into the MLS, we get into the IDX feed, as we all know how that works, which it'll change someday, I'm sure. But right now, we enter our property into the MLS just like any other agent. The only thing is different is we use a different pricing strategy. The only way you're going to be able to drive eyes to this property, again, some examples here I showed you earlier, 14 days, 9,485 views on this property, 14,921 views in 14 days on this property. And the list goes on and on. I track and measure every single day, every single property, what kind of eyes we're getting on the property. 89, 81, 789 saves. Again, saves translate into open house traffic. Now, you're not going to have 789 groups, but it gives you a real good indication it's going to be a very busy open house. Here's I show them. This is the slide that gets most sellers to go, wait a second, tell me more about that. Very rarely, every now and then, I'll get a seller, oh, I don't want a lot of people in my home. Well, I assure you, we want to make sure we get as many people into your home. There's a strategy, a science behind it. You get a line down the block. Heck, to this one, the cops came because they thought there was some kind of protest going on. So that's the kind of traffic you want. I get sellers coming to me all the time. They come to my check-in desk and they say, I want this. And they point to the line. That's what sellers want. They want to be the most popular house on the block. And that is how you get multiple offers. Because remember, guys, when buyers compete, sellers win. But when buyers compete transparently, everybody wins. Buyers are so used to writing an offer on a property, getting multiple offers, having no idea where the highest offer is. So when that proverbial highest and best final offer, counter offer comes in, the buyers are guessing. I don't know, how bad do you want the home? Is a lot of conversation going on. Well, I think that if it's transparent, you don't need to ask me where they should write. Let's see where everyone else is writing. It drives the price to its highest point absolutely possible. And that's our fiduciary responsibility to seller. Highest and best price, shortest amount of time, least amount of liability, hassle, and expense. So when buyers compete, sellers definitely win. But buyers win as well because they know they didn't overpay. We eliminate buyer's remorse because every single time I've ever written an offer for somebody that was well over ask because they wanted it and they saw everyone else did too, there was that sense of nervousness when they're writing an offer and they're like, oh God, okay, guys, I get it. They wrote their offer and guess what? Congratulations, Robert, your buyers have been accepted. My sellers accepted your buyer's offer. Two things go through the buyer's mind simultaneously. Number one, they're excited. And right away, they're like, oh my God, I overpaid. So now all they're doing is thinking, oh my gosh, I got the property, I want the property, but maybe we can renegotiate the sales price once we do our inspections or once the appraisal comes in. Well, we put those we eliminate requests for repairs because let's say Mariana, can you say Mariana's name on the top there? Let's say Mariana comes in, she wins the property, and she comes in with a bunch of requests for repairs, which I strongly discourage from the very beginning. But let's say Mariana wants to change that price. I'll say, oh, hold on, Mariana. I'm going to get on the phone with Evan and see what his enthusiasm is. Oh, I'm sorry, you don't want those repairs anymore? Do you see how the transparency eliminates requests for repairs? It all but eliminates the request for repairs. It certainly eliminates the buyer's remorse. Two things that are escrow killers, okay? Tom comes in, and then Rami, and then you see Tom come back in, then Nicholas, and then Evan. Then Evan outbid himself, which to this day, I still can understand why, but it didn't matter. Before I could even get a chance to tell Evan, you outbid yourself, Mariana came in with a much higher offer. My point is, making it transparent gets the buyers to pay the highest amount of money for that home. These are all buyers that are fully vetted, pre-approved, proof of funds, everything is all in place. We just need to secure the sales price. Make sense? So here's our pricing strategy. This is how we can drive so many people to the open house, so many people to the websites, because pricing matters. Most sellers, we've met them, we all know them, they price their property high, and that's a great way to attract less buyers. Sure, if you price it at market, you'll attract more buyers, but when you price it below market, you get maximum buyers, therefore get a bidding war. That is how we're driving so much traffic. Remember, the number one goal when you first take a listing, driving traffic to the website. Next thing is driving them to the home at the open house. Next thing, driving them to the platform. So that's why we get our pricing. And I'll explain a little bit, but we have hundreds of examples. 41 offers, 37 offers. I mean, it goes on. Right now, we're averaging anywhere between 13 and 17 offers on a pretty regular basis in that range. Very rarely will we get much less than that. And when the buyers compete, the sellers win. Now, here's our pricing strategy, and this is important because most sellers, when they say, your home's worth $850, my pricing strategy indicates that they need to list your home opening price, the starting price. It's not where you start, it's where you end. But most sellers get caught up on this. $722,500, that's so low, I'm not going to do that. This is just the opening price to commit to basically create a tremendous amount of fully vetted, pre-approved buyers to your home, number one. Lots of traffic to the websites, goal one. Goal two is getting buyers in that line for your property because the seller has the right to accept, counter, or reject any offer. Our goal price is their goal price. We want to get you to $850 or more. Now, this number gets filled in once I have a conversation with the seller. If they think their home is worth $1 million, they won't even see any of this until we get to an agreement on what their home is actually worth, at least in the area of what their home is worth. This is a seller that says, I get it. I'd like more than $850, but I feel very strong that it'll sell for $850 or more. Great. Then I take it down to a starting price of $722,500, and that drives a ton of traffic. Because it's transparent, the buyers are the ones bringing that offer up to its highest point. What will the seller take? The highest and best offer. That's what they're looking for. Make sense? A transparent way, and in most cases, we're getting more for that home. And that is a great thing to have happen. Now, here's our success timeline. We do this in 14 days, and Neil, I'll get with you in just a moment. Our success timeline is a 14-day window. Fsbo'S like it because it's 14 days, but expireds love it because they just got out of a 6-month relationship that didn't work, right? We do a 14 days from start to the time we put them under contract. Once we put them under contract, our listing agreement has an addendum that extends it to match that of the escrow. For example, if it's a 30-day escrow, we would do an extension of 30 days just a few days past the estimated close of escrow. So example, Wednesday, I'm using today's date because I have a listing appointment tonight, so I'm using the one I would use tonight. Wednesday, May 27th, all the marketing agreement, that's the listing agreement. Fsbo'S don't want to list their home. They want to market their home. They want offers. So if you keep hammering, they want, listing agreement, they're like, I don't want to list. I just need a 14-day marketing agreement, listing agreement that takes you out for 14 days. If we do not get your offer that you're looking for, we can go our separate ways. There's no harm, no foul. The property can expire and we're done. We go live on Monday. We start marketing Monday through Friday, no showings. We let that open house buyer pool fill up. And that's the best way to do it. What you don't want is random showings. One on Tuesday at 11, one at Tuesday at 4. You don't want random showings. Sellers don't like it, but there's no need to do it when you can fill up the buyer pool and dump them to the property between a window of 12 to 4 on Saturday, Sunday, 12 to 3. I find those are the best times that have worked for me. And I do by appointment only. Of course, I do by appointment only for agents with their buyers. It's a toss-up. There's a lot of buyers agents out there working, because it used to be just a bunch of buyers without their agents. Now I'm showing more and more agents are coming. So it's a great way to grow your team if that's what you're looking to do. Now, we started Wednesday with a marketing agreement. We go live in the MLS, but no showings until Saturday, Sunday. Wednesday, we give them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday by 7 to place their offer transparently. Offers, all offers are due Wednesday, June 10th at 7 p.m. Now we give, because we're not asking for an RPA quite yet. Once we have the final biddings done, we give them 24 hours to submit their RPA and supporting documentation. Now, when you're writing an offer and you see that there's 2, 3, 4, however many above you, what's the first thing you're going to think of? You're going to call your buyer and say, listen, we're number 3 in line. Do you want to place an offer towards where the offers are at? We're driving that price even higher, because a lot of times the RPA is not in. I see it every time because of the transparency. Those RPAs come in clean offer and at a higher price. And that is our goal, is to create the highest and best price in the shortest amount of time. So Wednesday is when we do our offer presentation with the seller. We go over the top 2 or 3 offers and say, here's what we have. Because at the end of the day, it's all about net to the seller. If the seller nets the most amount of money, that's what they're looking for. Sure, they want a clean transaction. They don't want a bunch of contingencies. They don't want a funky loan. They don't want contingencies. They want the cleanest offer, but they also want to net the most amount of money. We get them under contract no later than Friday. We want to go under contract before the weekend, before those buyers can get out there and start showing, the buyer agents showing new properties, and they change their mind. We want to secure them, get escrow opened up Friday, go into the weekend, so we're basically good to go. And I'm finding, I don't know about you guys, but I'm finding more and more of my sellers and buyers are looking for a 21-day escrow or shorter. The 30-day escrow is something I don't see a whole lot anymore. But again, the close of escrow is predicated on what the buyer and seller agree to. But I'm finding more and more 21-day escrow. So this success timeline is fantastic. My close, when I'm on the phone on the Zoom with the seller, does Saturday, June 6th and Sunday, June 7th work for you? Well, yeah, we can do that. That's my close. Great, we'll get started. I'll send you the contract via DocuSign. I'll send you the listing agreement. I'll send you all the supporting documentation and a full synopsis of everything and how it's going to go down. You approve that email, and then I'll send it out via DocuSign. Send them an email first with a recap. Once they approve, then I send out the DocuSign for signatures. Now, why the 14-day home offers platform? Every seller, when I'm talking to them, is your home available? Yes. If I was to bring you an offer, the price was acceptable, are you willing to pay the 3% compensation? I'm not telling you what to charge. I'm just telling you what I say. Now, a lot of times people say, yes, 3% is fine. Because remember, they're already thinking of representing a buyer with an offer. So they've already put in their head, in their net sheet, that they're willing to pay that 3%. 3% is all they have to pay, because remember, the buyer pays for their own agent should they choose to do that. It's a fantastic way. The online offers platform and transparency is bringing the highest and best sales price possible. And that's our goal. And the biggest thing is done in 14 days or less. So that's my presentation with a little agent to agent commentary, but it's absolutely working out well. And I wanted to share it with you guys today. And that's what I had. And I'd be more than happy to ask any questions. Answer any questions.
Okay, what we should do, Robert, at this point is go ahead and parlay, because this is, guys, this is great stuff. Is this not great stuff? Now, I understand, folks, that you do the 7% technique and you do all those other things and the more tools you can have in your little arsenal, the more arrows you have in your quiver, the better agent you are. And this is just another great way of getting buyers to make higher offers on property and sell your properties quicker, because that's really the problem right now. So that's a great thing, and I want everybody to understand what's going on. Before anybody asks, yes, this is being recorded, number one. Number two, Robert is not only available, he's actually one of our C4 coaches. He's actually one of our regular reoccurring people, not only at the seminar, but also here on C4. So he's very, very accessible. He's on the C4 website. You can contact him anytime, and you can also see him at the seminars. And you can also just give him a call and say, hey, I was on the C4 call and I saw you and it was great. Can I ask you a bunch of questions? The guy loves to talk. The guy loves to teach. He's one of our best. So definitely take advantage of him in that way, type of thing. So in that way, and then other ways too. You never know.
Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah. Looks like the only person that thought that was funny was you. Everybody else is like, here's everybody else on the call. Anyway, so what we're going to do, because we do have, let's see, what is it? Okay, is this 4:40? Perfect timing. We're 40 minutes into the Zoom call. I have a couple comments at the end, but I want to go ahead and open up a few minutes that we have now for questions, comments, and concerns that Robert can answer. So is there anybody, first off, Donna, do we have any people who have typed in questions and concerns in the chat?
Yeah, someone was asking, they didn't hear it correctly. The two escrow killers were one, buyer's remorse, and what was the second one? They didn't catch that second.
Request for repairs.
Ask for repairs.
Buyer's remorse is escrow killers are buyer's remorse on the sales price if they think they paid too much. Transparency allows them to realize they did only paid what they had to pay to get that home, number one. Number two, the request for repairs on the buyers that have buyer's remorse but are thinking they can come back in and fix that with a request for repairs, which it seems like they teach a class on that. They all come back and try to renegotiate the contract. The reason why the transparency works is because all the offers are fully transparent, so it eliminates buyer's remorse and request for repairs.
Awesome. Okay, Donna, do we have any other comments in the?
That was the only one. If anybody else has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself or throw it in the chat.
If I could say one thing real quick, what I would recommend everybody do on this call, if you're not working Fsbo'S and expireds, I would encourage you to go to Zillow, type in for sale by owner, put in your county, have a conversation with that Fsbo. Why are you selling? And start talking to sellers and start having conversations with sellers. I'm telling you, it's the best way to get right now business.
Robert,
and on top of that, if I could to parlay on that, we also in your C4 and your greatest hits and at the seminar, but also especially in your C4 and the previous, you can look up the Fsbo to listing process, and you can combine that with what Robert is saying, and he's 100% right. Call these Fsbo's, ask them why they're selling, figure out what's going on, and you now have tons of tools, not just from C4, but also from Robert on how to get these and turn them into listings. And that's the idea, is because we're calling these Fsbo's, Robert, because we want to convert them to listings, right? And that's the idea.
Okay, I have a question, please.
Yeah.
Robert, are you using? This is Michelle Peters. Are you using the all cash buyer platform to solicit as the way of starting the outside buyers?
Yes, I am. Hi, Michelle. Nice to see you. It's been a long time.
Thank you. Yeah,
yes, I'm using the iList cash offers platform to pull up cash offers. That's the first thing I do when I get a seller I don't run it on everybody until I have a conversation with them. But when I get a conversation with somebody that's looking to sell their home and I've vetted them to see that they're serious, I'll pull up a cash offer. It takes about 3 to 5 seconds if you're familiar with
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah, I'm
And
very
then-
familiar.
And then that's when I'll schedule the appointment. Basically, I ask them if their home's still available. If I was to bring you an offer at a price that's acceptable, are you willing to compensate? When can we jump on a quick Zoom call so we can go over your property in more detail? And if they say, they always come back with, just send me an offer. Well, I have multiple offers, but I'd like to get to know your home first before I present them to you so I can give you accurate cash offers. So yes, I'm using the iList platform to pull up my cash offers.
Thank you. We'll discuss further tomorrow on their platform about how you're leveraging something. It's another question further.
That's okay. I'm doing this call for Joe tomorrow, this exact same presentation.
Oh gosh, okay.
I think we got another question typed in.
We have a few more questions. Is the lead company online?
The lead company, My Plus Leads? Yes, you get a portal, you log in and they give you a portal of every single expired. I do expireds, Fsbo'S, and pre-foreclosures, but you can do non-owner occupied. You can do all kinds of different types of sellers, but those are the three I primarily work on when it comes to My Plus Leads, and I'm doing this platform.
Okay.
And I'll drop the link. I'll drop the link in the chat.
Perfect.
But yeah,
how do you handle bids that don't appraise?
Well, there's a couple things. I've never had a problem, knock on wood. But my question for you, who's the one that placed the offer that got accepted by the seller that didn't appraise? The buyer. So what I do is I make sure the buyer submits their proof of funds and pre-approval. Now, if it's say it's a $15,000 shortage. The buyer's the one that placed that offer. The buyer shows not only do they have money for down payment closing costs, they have money to cover any kind of shortage, should there be, but I've not had that problem because appraisers, as you know, are about a 3 to 5% variance. They're basically verifying that sales price that's realistic. So I've not had a problem, but if I was, I'd have the buyer pay it because they're the one that placed the offer.
I have a question. I'm sorry, this is Neil from Beverly Hills.
Hi, Neil.
Hi there, Robert. Very good. I missed the beginning of your webinar, so I'll get to watch it again. Is the other guy there from, or somebody from Career Compass that I called last week because I misplaced my login?
Okay,
And
well, Neil, if you can call the office, we'll be more than happy to help you with that. But
I
let's just have
did.
it relevant to the call right now.
I did last week, and I'm still waiting.
Okay. Beef,
What's-
if you can make sure
Okay.
one of the assistants can give him a call, that would be great.
Hey,
Yeah.
Neil, tell you what, Neil, do me a favor, buddy. Call me
Yeah.
on my cell. And
Okay.
all C4 members get that. My cell, just so you'll know, okay, is 619-840-9355. And the 9355 on your phone spells well, as in Wellington. 619-840-9355. Not only I want you to write that down, Neil, but anybody on C4 can have my personal cell phone at any time. You can call me anytime. We'll get that fixed up for you. Don't worry about it. Not a problem.
I appreciate it. The other thing is I have a question, Robert. A lot of times they want you to bring a buyer, or they don't want to. They want you to bring the buyer personally. I know you said that you have multiple buyers, and some, as you know, are very. I don't know where they came up with the price.
Oh yeah, well, there's a couple of questions in there. I typically, when I'm calling somebody, I ask them if their home is available. It's super simple, yes or no. Is it available, yes or no? Yes. If I was to bring you an offer at a price was acceptable. Now remember, that's a rhetorical question because we already know what's available. So if I brought you an offer at a price is acceptable, I just need to know if they're compensating, because that's what I do. I do this for a living. And if somebody says, I'm not paying any commission to any agent, fantastic. When can we jump on a quick Zoom call to go over your property in more detail?
Right.
I don't care if they're saying they're paying a commission or not.
Okay.
All I need to do is get as much information about your home so I can present you with realistic, ready to go offers, but I can't do that on a phone call. So I get them on a Zoom call. It's just a link you click. My 96-year-old grandmother jumps on Zoom. So when anyone says, I don't do Zoom, you've heard of a blow off. That's what that is. You go on a car lot and a bunch of dealers jump on you and say, do you want to buy a car? No, I'm just looking. That's what sellers do. They give you things to make you go away. I already have an agent. Oh, I only want a buyer. I only want an offer. I want to work with realistic sellers that are willing to take a few minutes to answer a few questions, walk me through their property. Zoom is the best way because I pull up their Zillow profile. I walk them through their photos, go through their price, confirm their asking price, how they got there, and then I can go over those offers with them. But oftentimes, once I do submit those offers, I look at those offers with the seller, I pivot to a much better price because remember, every seller wants the most amount of money for their home.
Yes.
No cash offers out there are going to compete with an open market sale ever.
Correct. Correct. And I'll give you, we went on a listing appointment. This homeowner who was expired and been on the market since last year with multiple agents and very high. It was ridiculous. So we said, this is what the price we should go. No, we only go to this price, and it wasn't even close. So we walked away because there was no place to go. And also just it didn't make sense why the other agents took the same price for so many times.
Yeah, well, unrealistic sellers are not something I do a lot of working with.
Right.
If they're not realistic. Now, again, I said motivated, but I don't mean desperate. I mean realistic. And if you're realistic, and you can tell by talking to somebody, oh, I want $1 million. And they'll tell you, you know what? It's not worth $1 million, but if I get it, then I'll sell. I'm not meeting with them.
No, I agree. I agree. And but it was close by, and we went over there to meet with them and so on and see the house because they asked me what they think the house is worth. I said I have to see it in person. I can't do it over the phone.
Oh, well, see, that's where you and I differ. I do everything over the phone.
I learned.
Yeah, I do everything over the phone. I know how to price properties like nobody's business. And I'll tell you right up, dude, you can go to chat and type in, what's this home worth? 123 Main Street. And then get a real quick synopsis of what that is worth.
Right.
So I don't need to see their home, but that's what I want to do is get them on a Zoom so they can walk me through their home because they all think I need to see it. And I'd like to see it, but I don't necessarily need to. As long as you ask good questions, you don't need to see the home.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying you don't never want to meet the seller, but there's no need because we all have the same amount of time. I'd rather take more listings than less. Most agents are spending 3 hours from drive time to meeting time when I'm doing 3 to 5 minutes to find out if somebody's completely out of their mind in terms of their goals. So it's just time is efficient. You got to be efficient with your time.
Absolutely. It just was I was close by, and my business partner was nearby too. So we said, okay, we'll go over and meet with them because they were on the market for such a long time. And we gave a great presentation, but their mindset was, I want this money or I'm not going to sell it. Well, I'm sorry, we don't do that.
If the seller was across the street from my house, I would still do a Zoom call.
Well, I'm learning. Thank you, Robert.
There's a couple questions.
Yeah, we had a question from Lily, I believe.
Well, hold on. We had one earlier from Dan. What is the cost of setting up my program and presentation to mirror yours? So is there fees to set it up to make it look like yours?
Well, that comes with the screen that I showed earlier. Schedule a time with me and I'll see if you qualify. Because here's the thing. This isn't for everyone. Working with sellers on a high level is not for everyone. Everybody wants to be a listing agent, but not everybody can. It depends on your commitment. So I sit down. It doesn't cost you anything to sit down with me to find out if this is something that you would work. Everybody, just like my sellers, I sit down and vet them. I'm not going to encourage somebody that's just not a listing agent to be a listing agent, not yet. So I'll be more than happy to sit down with you. It doesn't cost you anything.
All right. And Robert has his information in there. So feel free, anybody, to reach out to him. He would love to talk to you. Here's a question from Lily. Will the investors purchase duplexes and raw land too? I know my current investor platform only purchases SFR.
I find that most cash offers are into the SFR business, and they even frown a little bit on condos. I find that they're really skimpy on their offers on condos. I primarily target single family homes, something that more than just one person in the whole world want. I do know that they give you a little grief. Less investors are buying duplexes, raw land. I personally have never done a raw land from one of these institutional buyers. Usually the raw land folks are somebody's going to build something, but no, these institutional investors want a turn and burn, something they can just get rid of right away.
All right.
Okay.
That's all the questions
is that everybody?
Yeah, that's all the questions I have in there.
I see the Lily has another question. So you never walked through the home? No, I wouldn't say never, but I can tell you more times than not, I've never seen the home until I get to the open house. I get to the open house, then I do my agent's visual inspection. I do all that. But everything I do is all done via Zoom. I walk through their photos because most of the Fsbo'S and most expireds all have their photos. Now, the quality of photos that's a whole nother conversation, but at least tells me what I'm dealing with. I ask them really good questions. Tell me about your home. And a lot of times you start that mower up, it's not stopping. Tell me about your home. Tell me about how you came to your price. And then I'm taking really good questions, really good notes. So I usually don't see the home until the first day of the open house.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
Okay, good. Hey guys, if we don't have any other questions, we are right up at about 5 o'clock, and I have a couple quick announcements. But guys, take this, put it in your back pocket. Use it when you can. Robert is always available to explain things, and that's what we're about here at Career Compass, is different ways to approach this business. We've got 1.3 million realtors and falling still in the state in the United States, and guess what? Everybody does this damn business exactly the same. Don't be that agent. Do things differently, and you get different results. And that's what we're here about. And that's why we have Robert as a reoccurring trainer. Robert's information is in the C4 website. It's right there in the other information in the chat. And I think did Dan have a quick comment? Dan Sotero?
Can you put Robert's contact information here? Yeah, I believe he already did.
Yeah, I can do that. I'll leave my Calendly link. I put it on a slide, but I'll drop my Calendly link in the chat. You guys can just feel free to just use that. Here, I'll put it in right now. And I know that, let's see, Tony or Tasha had a question in terms of not agree. Let's see, I can't really agree to that, but that's me. What exactly is that?
I think they were referring to not meeting the customer.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah,
no, I certainly, and I'm not saying don't meet your sellers. What I'm saying is weed your sellers out, vet them. Because I'm telling you, a very high percentage of Fsbo and expireds are out of their mind. There's a reason why that expired's expired. We just need to make sure that I would not want to drive to somebody's home only to find out for myself that, yeah, I already knew that. That's why the 3 to 5 minute Zoom appointment, tell me more about your home. They love doing that. They love to tell you about their home. I've got an offer or two, but I need to know more about your home first. Then you can go out and see them and say hi and walk the property. That's all great. Once they
Tony,
meet with you.
Can I interject? Okay, Robert, I'm just going to continue that thought. Tony, can you unmute yourself?
I just did, Beef.
All right. So I know I can see you wanting to make some comments, and I want Robert and you to kind of have a quick little dialogue here to kind of give your both your thoughts. Now, guys, for those of you who don't know, not only is Robert one of our C4 legends reoccurring, but Tony and Tasha are as well. They come in all the time. They speak at the seminar, and they do the lawyer letter better than anybody that I've ever seen. So Tony, if you had comments about Robert, let him go ahead and address your concerns and go back and forth for a couple seconds.
Yeah, I won't. Robert, thank you so much. I mean, what you said makes a lot of sense. However, to a lot of people, it doesn't, because there's a lot of sellers, and we actually confronted those sellers through Zoom, and they said, you're not interested to come over here. It was an hour away. So you know what? I don't want to see you. So this happens as well. So you, and you can't say no to them, because there are potential sellers that would list with you. So this is what I'm saying. Although I do agree with some things that you say there, that particular aspect I don't, because those, especially those expireds, in a lot of cases, they want to see who the other agent is. They want to see him. They want to have a conversation with him face to face, not through Zoom. I mean, that's what I'm saying right now. I mean, again, I'm not trying to put your thing down, because I'm sure yours works as well.
It does. And remember, keep in mind, I'm not saying I don't ever want to meet him. I'm just trying to be efficient with our conversation. Let's get on a quick Zoom call so we can go over your property in more detail. Once I gather the information, AKA, once I know that I'm not wasting my time, then we'll get a face-to-face. I'll drive that hour if they qualify.
Yes, but at the same time, aren't we wasting our, no, sorry, use that term very lightly. We're wasting our time every time we see a seller anyway.
Yeah.
If we call it wasting our time. So what's wrong with actually wasting our time to actually see him in person instead of Zoom, where they don't even know us or trust us. If they see us, they can judge us even more.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying.
No, I totally agree with you. And everybody has their own way of doing things. But I have many sellers thank me because they didn't even think meeting on Zoom for a listing appointment. I met a guy out of Carlsbad that had 80 appointments with agents. I didn't know there's that many agents in his market. I was the only one that did a Zoom call, and he thanked me and he appreciated the fact it was so efficient. Now, I personally think he's a professional, like serial interviewer of agents and doesn't really want to list his home. But my point is, this is just the precursor. This is just the groundwork. So I know that hour drive is going to mean something to me.
Okay, so this is actually the groundwork, but eventually before the open house, because then you said, I will meet them at the open house. No, you won't. You will probably meet them before the open house. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't meet them before the open house now.
You don't?
Nope. And oftentimes, you got to remember, I come from the corporate sales world, from the REO world. I've never, in doing business, I've met them at conferences, but I've never met any of my sellers in person. I sell their homes. Yeah.
No, I'm happy. I mean, I love to hear that because, it makes me think about other things I should be doing as
I
well.
would try it. I would try it just for the simple reason of getting to know your seller, their wants and needs, and getting to know that property, going, you know what? I'll drive an hour to get this. They'll appreciate the groundwork that you're laying before you drive out for an hour. I can assure you that.
No, I appreciate that, Robert. Thank you so much. I will actually go a little bit more and try it a little bit harder and see where that gets me, because I did try it. Yeah. And I don't get me wrong. I do believe in Zoom calls to get listings and so on. I really believe in that.
Yeah.
But in that particular aspect, I'm saying they dealt with one guy who couldn't sell their house. Now they're going to deal with another guy who couldn't sell their house. All of a sudden, they're meeting a guy on Zoom, and I don't even know who they are. I see them, but like I see you right now. I don't know you unless I sit down and talk to you and really get to know you. You see,
sure.
This is my point there.
Yeah, and to your point, I think it's important to everybody's going to have their way of doing things. I've had sellers that said, I want to meet you in person. I explained to them the features and benefits of doing it this way. It's efficient, it's effective, and I very rarely have any grief from a seller. But if I was to have that seller that had to meet me in person, I would make a decision based on our quick Zoom call if I'm going to waste my time or spend the time, not waste, spend the time meeting that seller. So it's a personal preference.
I hear you. No, it's the same thing with me and Beef. When I saw Beef, I said, "Who the hell is he?" But then when I saw him, then I realized that he was for real.
You and I are on the same page there, brother.
There you go. And you know what, guys? Check this out. Oh my gosh, two of our top trainers going back and forth. Well, slap my ass and call me Sally. This is fantastic. I mean, now all I got to do is get Jeff, Ron, Sam, and Chris involved in this thing, and it'll be like a football team of trainers. All right. Well, that was great.
It's all about investing time. All about investing time, brother.
Yeah.
There we go. That's right, Sammy. That's right. Okay.
I would say
that is great. We are at 5 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and cut it here. I think we had a question. Is this all going to be recorded? I think Jeff asked. Of course, Jeff, you know that. Yes. It's all recorded. You can go back to it now. A couple of things coming up on C4 in the future. We have got a ton of great stuff. Not only will Chris Vogt be taking our, the AI bot takeover part 2, and then we're going to have part 3 and part 4. It's going to be fantastic. So we got that series going. Chris will be taking over that coming up here in June. And then not only that, but we have these two people right here. I want to show everybody that right there. I'll show you who that is. Okay. That is Signe and Matt. Okay, Stuart, many of you know them from the seminar. Those two have donated more greatest hits to new realtors at the seminar than probably pretty much everybody in the history of Career Compass combined. We now have the Matt and Signe scholarship at all the seminars. Now, these people right here, just want you to know, okay, they will be on C4 coming up here in June or July. And just to give you an idea of what they kind of do and who they are, they work out in the desert area. So we're looking at the Palm Springs greater metro area. And those two people right there, just last month, their volume was 13 million. So kind of gives you an idea of who they are. They are mega agents out there and wonderful people. I had dinner at Morton's with them last week. Just fantastic people, and they're going to be on C4, and they're also going to continue to sponsor Greatest Hits at the seminar. So that's fantastic. And at the seminar, speaking of the seminar, we've got Tustin coming up in June 10th and 11th. And we're going to have not only Robert there, but Ron and Jim and Jim Zers, of course, Don McHugh talking about reverse mortgages, Brian Fox talking about things. We've got a whole slew of absolutely fantastic guest speakers. It's going to be fantastic. So get there. Even if you're in C4, guys, don't worry about the renewal. Just get there for the great training. We're going to have a great time. I think we've got about 250 people RSVP'd for that. So we're getting pretty close to sell out because it's a smaller venue, but we have plenty of room for C4. Of course, you get to sit right up front. There you go. All right. So here's what we're going to do. And by the way, we have one question. This agent convo. Okay. So we got that, Rob. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. All right. If there isn't any other questions, I'm going to not only thank everybody for being on, you'll see Chris vote later on. And we're going to have
Pachanga? When's Pachanga?
Sorry. When's Pachanga? Sorry. Yes. Thank you for reminding me. Way to go. Okay. My brain's gone today. I've been speaking all day. I went and spoke at Century 21 Masters this morning. Okay. Pachanga is September 22 and 23. So you've got Tustin, June 10 and 11. Pachanga, 22 and 23. We will be having a seminar. We're not sure what the location will be, but we're having it in December. And then we have a full schedule in 2027. It's going to be awesome, guys. There's only 1.3 million realtors left in the United States and going down. And that's good for you because you're the survivors. You're C4. You're better. And you're going to be the ones who survive and succeed. And we've got trainers like Robert and Tony and everybody else there helping out doing that. So get to the seminar as often as you possibly can. And we have an open bar. What could be better? I mean, come on. That's the best thing. All right. So I want to thank Donna for coming on and helping us out today. That was very, very nice of her to do so. I want to thank Robert Whitekelt. Hell yeah, buddy, for being an awesome speaker and showing us a new way, because that's the way of the future, the new stuff. Okay. All right, and I will see everybody at the seminar in June on the 10th and 11th. I'll see everybody on C4, and I'll be seeing you soon, all right? Thanks, everybody. Good luck and good selling.
Thanks, Beef and Donna. Thank you, Robert.
Bye, guys.